"I know how to get you out of there," boy tells girl trapped in zoo cage. Emily Parker felt panic rising in her throat as she shook the iron bars with her small hands. The cage door had closed behind her with a metallic click that still echoed in her ears. That's when she heard a voice on the other side of the bars. A dark-haired boy who couldn't have been more than 14 watched her with an expression far too serious for his age. "Hey, calm down, I know how to get you out of here," he said, cautiously stepping closer. Emily stared at him with wide eyes, tears beginning to form. How had she been so careless? The teacher had clearly said not to wander off from the group, but when she saw the baby capuchin monkey alone in the corner of the cage, she couldn't resist. She just wanted a closer look, maybe take a picture to show her mom. Now she was trapped, just like the animals she had come to see. "Do you work here?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. The boy hesitated before answering. "Sort of. My name is Tyler, and you need to trust me right now, okay?" Emily nodded, swallowing hard. There was something in Tyler's eyes that made her believe him, even in this desperate situation. He looked around, making sure they were alone in this more secluded part of the zoo. "This cage has a trick to it," Tyler explained, stepping closer to the bars. "But first, you need to tell me exactly how you got in there." Emily took a deep breath, trying to gather her thoughts. The school field trip had started 2 hours ago. She was with her 5th grade class, all excited to finally visit the Oakland City Zoo. Her best friend, Olivia, had gotten sick and couldn't come, so Emily had been feeling a little lonely among her classmates. "The door was slightly open," she began. "I saw the little monkey in the back and I just wanted a better look. I went in slowly, but when I stepped inside, the door closed on its own." Tyler nodded as if he already knew. "It's the security system. These cages have a mechanism that locks automatically when it detects weight. It's to keep the animals from escaping when the handlers go in." "But where are the animals?" Emily looked around the empty cage, seeing only a few dry branches and a small wooden shelter in the corner. "They're in the indoor enclosure. Today's cleaning day, so the outdoor area is empty. You're lucky, you know." Emily didn't feel lucky at all. She felt stupid, irresponsible, and terrified. What if no one found her? What if she had to spend the night here? What if the monkeys came back and attacked her? "Please get me out. Shove here," she begged, tears now streaming freely down her face. Tyler reached into his pocket and pulled out a makeshift set of keys, twisted from wires. "These aren't the official keys," he explained, seeing Emily's confused look, "but I've learned a few tricks. There's just one problem." Emily's heart raced even faster. "What problem?" "If I open it from the outside, the alarm will go off. Security will come running. They'll find out you went into a restricted area. Your school might get banned from the zoo. You could get into huge trouble." "What's the other option?" Emily asked desperately. Tyler looked into her eyes, and Emily saw something that scared her even more than the situation itself: fear. "The other option is for me to go in there with you and unlock it from the inside, but then we'd both be stuck until I can disable the system." Emily swallowed hard. The idea of having company was comforting, but what if it didn't work? What if they were both trapped? "How long would that take?" she asked. "About 20 minutes if everything goes right, but Emily..." Tyler paused, biting his lower lip. "There's one more thing. I don't officially work here. I sneak in sometimes. My dad used to be a handler here before. Before leaving, I know the zoo like the back of my hand, but if they catch me in here..." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. Emily looked at the boy on the other side of the bars. He didn't seem much older than her, maybe 3 or 4 years at most. His brown eyes reflected a mix of determination and vulnerability that touched her deeply. "Why do you want to help me if you could get in trouble?" she asked. Tyler glanced away for a moment. "Because I know what it feels like to be trapped," he murmured. "And because, well, you remind me of someone." Before Emily could ask who, they heard voices approaching. Tyler immediately hid behind a nearby bush, signaling for Emily to stay. Quiet. 2 security guards walked by, chatting excitedly about the soccer game from the night before. Emily held her breath, afraid they'd discover her, but they passed right by without even glancing at the capuchin monkey enclosure. When the Voices faded. Tyler stepped out of hiding. Listen, we don't have much time. Soon your teacher will notice you're missing. You need to decide now. Do you want me to call security or do you trust me? Emily looked down at her own hands, gripping the cold bars. She thought of her mother, who would be furious if she knew about the mess she'd gotten into. She thought of her father, who always told her to be more careful. She thought of the embarrassment she'd face at school if everyone found out she'd been trapped in a cage like an animal. Come in, she finally decided. I trust you. Tyler took a deep breath and began climbing the side of the cage. Emily watched in awe at how agile he was, as if he'd done this hundreds of times. In seconds, he was at the top, searching for a way down. Move back, he warned before dropping. He landed with a soft thud, bending his knees to absorb the impact. Immediately, he stood and walked over to Emily. Are you okay? She asked, worried. I've done worse, he replied with a half smile. Now comes the hard part. He knelt near the lock and started fiddling with a small panel Emily hadn't even noticed. His fingers moved with precision, pressing a sequence of buttons that seemed random. How do you know how to do this? Emily asked, fascinated. My dad taught me. Before... Tyler stopped mid-sentence, focusing on the panel. Darn it, they changed the code. What? You said you knew. I do. I just need to think. Tyler closed his eyes, murmuring numbers under his breath. Charlie's birth date. No. Honey's registration number. No. Who are Charlie and Honey? The alpha capuchin monkeys in the group. My dad always used important animal dates for security codes, said it was easier to remember than random numbers. Emily watched Tyler work, noticing how his eyebrows furrowed in concentration. There was something about him that intrigued her. He wasn't just any boy who knew the zoo. There was a story there, something deeper. Got it? Tyler exclaimed, as a soft click signaled something had unlocked. But we're not done yet. Now. I need to disable the weight sensor without triggering the alarm. He opened a second panel, revealing a series of colorful wires. Do you really know what you're doing? Emily asked nervously. My dad was the best zookeeper at this zoo, Tyler said with clear pride in his voice. He took care of all the primates, knew every animal by name, understood their personalities. He's been bringing me here since I was little. Where is he now? Tyler paused for a moment, his hands still on the wires. He had to leave. Adult stuff, you know. But he'll be back. I'm sure of it. Emily Parker noticed the pain in his voice and decided not to press the matter. Instead, she looked through the bars at the zoo. From there, she could see part of the flamingo pond and the start of the trail leading to the reptile house. Everything looked so different from this angle, as if she was seeing the world through the animal's eyes. Done. Tyler stood up, wiping, his hands on his pants. Now we just need to open the door normally. He went to the lock and turned the handle. Nothing happened. Why won't it open? Emily asked, panic creeping back in. Tyler tried again, harder this time. The door didn't budge an inch. No way, he muttered, returning to the control panel. I did everything right. Tyler, what? Now are we really stuck? He didn't answer, focused on checking every wire, every connection. Emily saw desperation growing in his eyes and felt her own panic rise. There's got to be another way, Tyler said, more to himself than to her. Think, Tyler, think. What would Dad do? Emily stepped closer. Calm down, you got us in here, you'll get us out. You don't understand, Tyler turned to her, his eyes shining. If they catch me here, they'll ban me from coming back. This is the only connection I still have. With my dad. I've been sneaking in for months, taking care of the animals he cared for, talking to them like he used to. For months? How has no one seen you? I know the schedules, the guards' routes, the blind spots of the cameras. I learned it all from my dad. He said a good keeper has to be invisible to avoid stressing the animals. Emily looked at Tyler with new eyes. He wasn't just a boy trying to help her. He was someone fighting to keep his father's memory alive, the only way he knew how to feel close to him. We'll get out, she said firmly, and no one's going to ban you from anything. Now think, what else did your dad teach you about? These cages. Tyler took a deep breath, closing his eyes. Emily could almost see the gears turning in his mind, searching through memories for a solution. Wait! His eyes snapped open. The emergency release. Every cage has an emergency release inside, in case a keeper gets accidentally locked in. Where is it? That's what I need to remember. Each enclosure has it in a different spot, so the animals don't learn to use it. In the Capuchin monkey's cage. In the Capuchin monkey's cage. Tyler began examining every inch of the cage, running his hands along the bars, searching for anything unusual. Emily helped, even though she wasn't sure what to look for. There. She pointed to a small, lever painted the same color as the bars, nearly invisible. Could that be it? Tyler rushed over and inspected it. That's it. Emily, you're a genius. He yanked the lever hard. A mechanical click echoed through the cage, but the door remained shut. It still didn't open, Emily exclaimed in frustration. Hold on, this lever just unlocks the emergency release. Now I need to... Tyler ran back to the control panel and pressed a new sequence of buttons. Now, yes! He went to the door and pushed. It opened with a soft creak. Let's go, Tyler said, grabbing Emily's hand. But the moment they stepped outside, an alarm started blaring. It wasn't as shrill as Emily had imagined, but a steady beeping that would surely alert security. Run! Tyler shouted. They took off down the trail, Tyler guiding Emily along paths she didn't even know existed. They went behind the restaurant, cut through a maintenance area, and jumped over a low fence. Here, Tyler pulled her into a tool shed. They hid behind bags of feed, trying to steady their ragged breathing. Outside, they could hear voices and hurried footsteps. It came from the Capuchin monkey's enclosure, someone shouted. Check the cameras, another voice replied. Emily looked at Tyler, terrified. He put a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. The minutes dragged on like hours. Emily could feel her heart pounding so hard she was sure the security guards could hear it. Tyler remained motionless beside her, his eyes fixed on the warehouse door. Finally, the voices began to fade. Must have been a system glitch, they heard someone say. That cage has been acting up since the renovation. Still, do a full sweep, ordered a more authoritative voice, and call maintenance to check it. They waited a few more minutes before Tyler whispered, I think it's safe to go now. He peeked through the door, checking if the path was clear. I need to get you back to your group without anyone noticing you were gone, he said. Where were they? At the feline house, but it must have been half an hour by now. Then they're probably heading to the aviary. I know a shortcut. They cautiously stepped out of the warehouse. Emily followed Tyler through more hidden paths, amazed by his knowledge of every corner of the zoo. How do you know so much about this place? She asked as they passed behind the elephant enclosure. I practically grew up here, Tyler replied. My dad started as a janitor when he was 16, worked his way up to become the head primate keeper. He loved this job more than anything. And your mom? Tyler hesitated before answering. She left when I was a baby. My dad raised me alone, said the animals and I were his family. Emily felt a pang in her heart. She couldn't imagine growing up without her mother. That must have been hard. It was actually pretty cool. Tyler smiled for the first time since they'd met. Imagine having a whole zoo as your backyard. I helped feed the babies, watched births, learned about every species. My dad made everything an adventure. Sounds amazing, but then why did he leave? Tyler's smile faded. It's complicated. There was an incident with one of the Capuchin monkeys. Wasn't my dad's fault, but he shook his head. Doesn't matter. He'll come back, clear things up, and come back. They reached a busier area of the zoo. Tyler stopped, scanning the crowd. There's your group. He pointed to a cluster of uniformed kids near the aviary entrance. You need to blend in without drawing attention. What about you? I'll take another route. Better if no one sees us together. Emily hesitated. After everything they'd been through, it felt wrong to just say goodbye. Tyler, thank you, really. He shrugged, looking like just a shy boy again. Just promise you'll be more careful. Won't always be someone to bail you out. I promise. And if you ever want to talk about your dad, it's fine. He cut her off. Go now before they miss you. Emily started to walk away, but then turned back. Do you come here every day? Almost every day. Why? Maybe we could meet again, outside the cages this time. A small smile appeared on Tyler's face. Maybe. Emily hurried toward her group, joining them just as the teacher finished counting. Emily, where were you? Mrs. Thompson, the teacher, looked both relieved and annoyed. Havasum went to the restroom. Sorry, ma'am. You know you have to ask permission. I was worried. Sorry, Emily repeated, lowering her head. As the group entered the aviary, Emily glanced back, searching for Tyler. She didn't see him anywhere, as if he'd simply vanished. But she knew he was still there somewhere, tending to the animals his father left behind. For the rest of the tour, Emily couldn't focus on the guide's explanations. Her mind kept returning to the lonely boy who had turned the zoo into his home, trying to keep alive a connection with an absent father. When they finally got back to school, Emily was exhausted, not just from the scare she'd had, but from the emotional weight of the encounter. At home during dinner, her mother noticed she was quiet. "How was the trip, sweetheart?" asked Mrs. Parker, serving more rice onto Emily's plate. "It was different," Emily replied, pushing her food around without much appetite. "Different how?" Her father, Mr. Parker, lowered the newspaper to look at her. Emily thought about telling the whole truth, but something stopped her. Tyler's story wasn't hers alone to share. "I learned a lot about the animals, about how they feel trapped, you know." Her parents exchanged a worried glance. "Are you okay, Emily?" Her mother touched her forehead. "You don't have a fever." "I'm fine, Mom. Just thinking." That night, Emily took a long time to fall asleep. She kept imagining Tyler alone somewhere, waiting for his father to return. Did he have a place to live? Did anyone take care of him? The next morning, Emily woke up with a decision made. During recess, she went to the school's computer lab and started searching. She typed Oakland City Zoo incident Capuchin monkey handler into the search bar. Several articles appeared, but one in particular caught her eye. It was from 8 months ago. Handler suspended after Capuchin monkey injures visitor at City Zoo. Emily read the article with a heavy heart. Michael Reynolds, head primate handler for 15 years, had been suspended after a Capuchin monkey bit a visitor who ignored safety signs and reached into the enclosure. The visitor, an influential woman in the city, had demanded his dismissal, claiming negligence. The article included a photo. Emily immediately recognized the same brown eyes, as Tyler's the same gentle smile but on an older face. Michael Reynolds held a baby Capuchin monkey in his arms, and beside him stood a boy, Tyler, a few years younger, grinning widely. Emily printed the article and tucked it into her backpack. She needed to understand what had happened. Over the next few days, Emily couldn't stop thinking about Tyler. She convinced her mother to take her to the zoo over the weekend, claiming she had a school project to work on. "Which animal are you researching?" Mrs. Parker asked while paying for their tickets. "Capuchin monkeys," Emily answered without hesitation. "How specific? Is your teacher covering primates?" "It's something like that." Emily led her mother straight to the Capuchin monkey exhibit. There was no sign of Tyler, but she hadn't expected to find him so easily. While her mother was distracted reading the information signs, Emily scanned the area, looking for any trace of the boy. "Mom, can I walk around by myself, just nearby?" "Emily, you know I don't like you wandering off alone. Please, Mom, I'm 10 years old, and you can see me from here." Mrs. Parker sighed. "Fine, but stay in the primate area, and be back in 15 minutes. Emily walked casually at first, but as soon as she was out of her mother's sight, she began searching more actively. She checked behind the restrooms near the maintenance shed, anywhere she thought Tyler might be. "Looking for someone?" Emily turned, startled. Tyler stood behind her, wearing a different shirt but with the same guarded expression. "Tyler, I came back. I noticed. I saw you and your mom come in." "How did you—" Emily started, then remembered. "You really do know every corner of this place. Why did you come back?" he asked, crossing his arms. Emily pulled the folded paper from her pocket. "I looked up your dad. I read about what happened." Tyler's expression closed off immediately. "You shouldn't have done that. What they did to him wasn't fair. The woman who put her hand in the cage, she was the one in the wrong." "You don't know anything," Tyler said, stepping back. but Emily followed him. Then tell me what really happened. Tyler stopped, fists clenched at his sides. Why do you even care? You don't even know me. Because you helped me and because I know what it's like to feel like no one understands. Tyler studied her for a long moment. My dad was doing his usual educational demo, he finally began. Showing how capuchin monkeys use tools to crack open coconuts. That woman, Mrs. Victoria Sinclair, ignored all the barriers, all the signs, and stuck her hand in the cage, trying to touch Charlie. Emily listened in silence. Charlie's territorial. Anyone who knows capuchin monkeys knows that. My dad yelled at her to pull her hand back, ran to stop her, but he wasn't fast enough. Charlie bit her finger. It wasn't even a bad bite, more like a warning, but she made a huge scene. And then, Mrs. Sinclair is married to one of the biggest businessmen in the city. They donate a lot of money to the zoo. She demanded my dad be fired, said he was negligent, that he couldn't control the animals. The zoo management was scared of losing their sponsorship, and they suspended your dad. Tyler nodded, swallowing hard. They said it was temporary until things calmed down, but it's been 8 months. My dad tried to come back a few times, but they always say it's not the right time yet. He got so depressed that he decided to go to Chicago, try to get a job at another zoo. And he left you here? No, Tyler protested. He wanted to take me, but I refused. This is our place, you get it? All our good memories are here. If I leave too, it's like we're giving up. Where are you staying? Tyler looked away. With a neighbor, Mrs. Dorothy. She was friends with my grandma. She's nice, takes care of me, but it's not the same. Emily felt a lump in her throat. Does your dad call? Do you talk? Every day. He always asks if I'm okay, if I'm going to school, if I'm eating right. I say yes to everything, but I spend more time here than anywhere else. I come before school, after school, on weekends. Mrs. Dorothy thinks I'm at the library or playing ball with friends. Why don't you tell her the truth? Tyler kicked a pebble on the ground because she'd forbid me. She'd say it's dangerous, that it's trespassing, that I'd get arrested, and then I'd lose the only thing that makes me feel close to my dad. Emily stayed quiet for a moment, taking it all in. Then an idea started forming in her mind. What if we proved your dad was right, that it wasn't his fault? How? There must be security cameras, witnesses. You think we didn't try? The footage from that angle was corrupted, and the witnesses were too scared to speak against Mrs. Sinclair. But time has passed. People forget. They lose their fear. Emily, Mrs. Parker's voice called from a distance. Time to go. I have to go, Emily said, but I'll come back and we'll figure something out, okay? You don't have to get involved in this. But I want to. You helped me. Now it's my turn. Before Tyler could protest, Emily ran back to her mom. Where were you? You were way past 15 minutes. Sorry, Mom. I was watching the marmosets. On the way home, Emily couldn't stop thinking. There had to be a way to help Tyler and his dad. The injustice of it all made her furious. How could they punish someone for doing their job right? That night at dinner, Emily tested the waters. Dad, what happens when someone is unfairly accused of something? Mr. Parker, who was a lawyer, raised an eyebrow. Depends, sweetheart. At work, you mean? Yeah, like if someone loses their job over something that wasn't their fault. Well, there are labor laws. A person can seek their rights, file a complaint with the Department of Labor, even sue the employer if they have proof of wrongful termination. What if the person doesn't have money for a lawyer? Her father studied her curiously. There's the public defender's office, free legal assistance. Emily, why these questions? Did something happen at school? No, Dad. It's just curiosity. Mrs. Parker exchanged a worried glance with her husband. Emily's been very thoughtful since the trip to the zoo, she commented. It's just that I learned a lot there, Emily said quickly. About how the animals are treated, about the people who care for them. It's important to care about these issues, her father said. It shows you're growing, developing social awareness. Emily nodded, but her mind was already forming a plan. If her father was a lawyer, maybe he could help. Good. But first, she needed more information, more evidence. The next day at school, Emily sought out her computer teacher. Ms. Rebecca, how do we find old videos on the internet? What kind of videos, Emily? Like, if someone filmed something a few months ago and posted it somewhere? Well, it depends. Social media usually keeps videos unless the user deletes them. YouTube too. Why do you ask? It's for a project, Emily lied. About what? About historical documentation, she improvised. The teacher seemed satisfied with the answer and spent a few minutes explaining advanced search, date filters, and keywords. During recess, Emily returned to the computer lab. She started searching for variations of Oakland City Zoo Capuchin monkey bites woman. She found some news articles, but nothing new. Then she tried a different approach. She searched for the full name, Victoria Sinclair Oakland. Several social news items popped up, photos from charity events, galas. Emily noticed a pattern. In many instances, Mrs. Sinclair appeared with very visible bandages or dressings, long after the incident. Curious, Emily began reading the comments on some of these photos. Most were flattery, but one caught her attention. Funny how her injury changes fingers depending on the event, lol. Emily's heart raced. She started comparing the photos more carefully. It was true. At one dinner, the bandage was on her index finger. At another event, on her middle finger. In a more recent photo, on her left hand instead of her right. She printed everything she could find. It wasn't definitive proof, but it was something. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The following Saturday, Emily convinced her mother to take her to the zoo again. Another project? Mrs. Parker asked, suspicious. It's a big project, Mom, about animal conservation. This time, Emily went straight to look for Tyler in the tool shed where they'd hidden before. He was there, organizing bags of feed. You don't give up, do you? He said when he saw her. Look what I found. Emily showed him the papers she'd printed. Tyler examined the photos, his eyes widening. She moved the bandage around. That means she might have exaggerated the injury, or even lied about which finger was bitten. But this doesn't prove my dad was innocent. No, but it raises doubts. Tyler, we need to find someone who was there that day. Someone who saw what really happened. Tyler thought for a moment. There was a school group, I remember, because my dad always put extra effort into demonstrations when kids were watching. Then we need to find out which school it was. Emily, even. If we find out it's been too long, people won't remember the details. But it's worth trying, Emily insisted. Why don't you want your father back? Of course I do, Tyler exploded. I want it more than anything. But you don't understand, Emily. People like Mrs. Sinclair always win. They have money, influence, people like my dad and me. We only have each other. That's not true. Emily held his hand. Now you have me too. Tyler looked at their joined hands, surprised. For a moment, his eyes glistened with unshed tears. Why do you care so much? Emily thought about the question. Why did she care? She barely knew Tyler, but something about him touched her heart. Maybe it was how he loved his father, or how he cared for the animals even when he didn't have to. Or maybe it was simply because it was the right thing to do. Because it's unfair, she finally said. And because you deserve to have your father back. Tyler squeezed her hand in return. Thank you. Now let's think. How do we find out which school was here that day? The zoo must have records of school visits, Tyler suggested. But we don't have access to that. What? If we ask the other keepers? Someone must remember. Tyler shook his head. Most of them are too scared to talk about it. They don't want to lose their jobs too. There must be someone. Tyler grew thoughtful. There's Mr. Walter. He's the oldest keeper at the zoo, been taking care of the elephants for 30 years. He and my dad were friends. Maybe, let's talk to him. It's not that simple. He works specific shifts and there's always people around. Then we wait for the right time. They spent the rest of the morning observing the zoos. Routine, waiting for an opportunity. Finally, they saw Mr. Walter alone near the elephant enclosure, preparing their food. Mr. Walter? Tyler approached cautiously. The elderly man turned, his wrinkled face lighting up when he recognized the boy. Tyler, kid, what are you doing here? You know you shouldn't. I know, but I need to talk to you about my dad. Mr. Walter's expression darkened. Son, you know I can't. Please. Emily stepped forward. We just want to know the truth. Mr. Walter glanced around nervously. Who are you? I'm Tyler's friend, and I think his father was wronged. The old keeper sighed deeply. You kids shouldn't get involved in this, it's dangerous. Dangerous how? Tyler asked. Mr. Walter moved closer, lowering his voice. Mrs. Victoria Sinclair isn't a woman who tolerates being challenged. After the incident, anyone who tried to defend Michael Reynolds faced consequences. Dr. Paul, the vet who said the bite was superficial, got transferred to the graveyard shift. The tour guide who testified for your dad was fired for cost-cutting. That's intimidation, Emily exclaimed. That's the real world, girl. Money makes the rules. But were you there? Tyler pressed. Did you see what happened? Mr. Walter hesitated for a long moment. I did. I saw her ignore all the warning signs, saw her lean over the barrier, saw your dad running to stop her. Michael did everything right, but my word means nothing against the Sinclair's money. What about the school that was visiting? Emily asked. There must have been witnesses among the teachers, the students, Lincoln Elementary School. Mr. Walter answered. I remember because my granddaughter goes there. The teacher was a young woman, Amanda something. She got really flustered by everything, rushed off with the kids. Thank you, Mr. Walter, Tyler said. Thank you so much. Listen to me, kid. The old man gripped Tyler's arm. Your dad's a good man, the best keeper I've ever seen, but sometimes we have to accept life's injustices. It's not worth you risking yourselves. It is worth it, Tyler said firmly, because he's my dad. Mr. Walter sighed again. Just like Michael, stubborn and fair. Be careful, kids, very careful. They walked away, their minds buzzing with the new information. Lincoln Elementary School, repeated Emily. I know that school. It's near my house. So what? We can't just show up there and start asking questions. No, but Emily had an idea. My cousin goes there. Maybe she knows this Miss Amanda. Emily, even if we find this teacher, it doesn't mean she'll want to talk. You heard Mr. Walter. People are scared. But we have to try, Tyler. It's our best chance. Tyler bit his lip, clearly torn between hope and the fear of disappointment. What if she confirms my dad was wrong? What if... She won't, Emily interrupted. Your dad did the right thing and we're going to prove it. Emily! Mrs. Parker's voice echoed again. Where are you? I have to go, Emily said. But on Monday I'll talk to my cousin. We'll find out more about this Miss Amanda. Emily, Tyler began. Trust me, she said, already running. It'll work out. During Sunday lunch, Emily couldn't stop thinking about the case. Her mind raced through every possibility, every scenario. Emily, you're miles away, her father remarked. Dad, a hypothetical question. Here we go. If someone was fired unfairly and there are witnesses, but the witnesses are too scared to speak up, what can be done? Mr. Parker set down his fork. Emily, that's getting too specific to be hypothetical. What's going on? Emily looked at her parents. Maybe it was time to tell the truth, or at least part of it. I met a boy at the zoo. His dad was a caretaker and got fired unfairly because a rich woman hurt herself and blamed him. Emily, her mother started. It's true. Mom! And now the boy is staying with a neighbor because his dad had to leave to find work somewhere else. Is that fair? Her parents exchanged glances. Sweetheart, the world isn't always fair, her father said carefully. But getting involved in other people's troubles can be dangerous. But Dad, you always said lawyers exist to fight for justice. Yes, but then why is it different now? Mr. Parker sighed. What's the full name of the boy's father? Michael Reynolds. And the woman who got hurt? Victoria Sinclair. Emily saw recognition flash across her father's face. I know that family. They're influential. Does that mean they can do whatever they want? Emily challenged. No, of course not. But it means any action against them needs to be very well founded. So you'll help? Emily, I didn't say that. Dad, please, Tyler has no one else. Mrs. Parker placed a hand on her husband's arm. Robert, maybe you could at least look into the case. see if there's anything that can be done. Mr. Parker looked from his wife to his daughter, both wearing the same hopeful expression. All right, I'll look into it. But no promises, understand? Emily jumped from her chair and hugged her father. Thank you, Dad. You're the best. Easy, easy. I don't even know if there's legal ground for any action yet. And Emily, I want to meet this boy. If we're getting involved, I need to know who we're dealing with. Emily nodded eagerly. Finally, things seemed to be moving in a positive direction. On Monday, Emily could hardly wait for recess to find her cousin. She spotted Jessica in the yard, playing with her friends. Jess, I need to talk to you. Hi, Emily, what's up? Do you know a teacher named Miss Amanda at your school? Ms. Amanda? Of course, she teaches 4th grade. Why? I need to talk to her. It's important. About what? Emily thought fast. About a field trip her class took to the zoo last year. Oh yeah, I remember that trip. It was right at the start of the year. There was some commotion there. A woman got bitten by a monkey. Were you there? Emily asked excitedly. No, I was still in 3rd grade, but the 4th graders wouldn't stop talking about it. They said it was terrifying. Where's Miss Amanda's classroom? Emily, you can't just walk into my school. And please, Jess, it's really important. Jessica studied her cousin. Does this have to do with that boy you won't stop talking about? Emily blushed. I don't talk about him that much. Tyler this, Tyler that, Jessica mimicked. You've got a crush, huh? It's not like that, Emily protested. It's about justice. Sure, Jessica smirked. Look, Ms. Amanda always stays after school to grade papers. If you go around 4, you might catch her. Will you come with me? I can't, I have ballet, but I'll say you're my cousin if anyone asks. Emily hugged her cousin. Thanks, Jess. After school, Emily had to come up with an elaborate excuse for her mom about needing to go to the library. Mrs. Parker was growing more suspicious, but eventually agreed, on the condition that Emily called when she arrived and when she left. Lincoln Elementary School was an old but well-kept building. Emily walked in, trying to look confident, as if she knew exactly where she was going. Can I help you? A staff member stopped her. I'm Jessica's cousin from 5th grade. I need to talk to Ms. Amanda about a project. The staff member seemed to accept the explanation. Room 12, 2nd floor. Emily climbed the stairs with her heart racing. She found room 12 with the door slightly ajar. A young woman with her hair in a bun was grading papers at a desk covered in stacks. Excuse me, Ms. Amanda? The woman looked up. Yes, you're not in my class. No, my name is Emily. I wanted to talk to you about last year's field trip to the zoo. The teacher's expression changed instantly. Tense, cautious. Why? It's about the zookeeper who got fired. Michael Reynolds. I met his son and... I'm sorry, but I can't discuss that, the teacher interrupted, turning back to her papers. Please, Miss Amanda, I just need to know what you saw. I said I can't talk about it. Are you afraid of Mrs. Victoria Sinclair? Miss Amanda looked up sharply. Who are you, really? Just a girl trying to help a friend. Tyler's suffering. Without his dad. And his dad was wronged, you know that, don't you? The teacher was silent for a long moment. Then she stood and closed the door. You shouldn't be getting involved in this, she said quietly. But you saw what happened. Didn't you? You saw it wasn't the zookeeper's fault. Ms. Amanda sat back down, rubbing her face. I did. I saw that woman ignore all the warnings. I saw the zookeeper try to stop her. I saw her practically shove her hand into the monkey's mouth. But I have a 3-year-old daughter to raise. I need this job, and you don't understand. The power these people have. What if you didn't have to be identified, if you could write an anonymous statement? They'd know. I was the only adult teacher there besides the zoo staff. Emily thought desperately. What about the students? Some of them must remember. They were 9, 10 years old. Their testimony wouldn't hold up in court. But multiple testimonies together. The teacher studied her for a moment. You really care about this boy, don't you? Emily nodded. He saved my life, she said, then quickly explained the incident in the enclosure. The teacher's eyes widened. You're the girl who got trapped? I heard security talking about a false alarm that day. It wasn't false. Tyler got me out. He knows the whole zoo because he grew up there with his father. Miss Amanda looked thoughtful. There's a student, Mason Williams. He was very affected by the incident. He even did a project on zoo safety afterward. His family is well connected. Maybe they won't be afraid to speak up. Can you give me his contact? I can't share students' personal information, but she grabbed a piece of paper and scribbled something. On Wednesdays, his mother always picks him up at Sunshine Bakery after English class, around 5 o'clock. Emily took the paper. Thank you, Miss Amanda. Thank you so much. Wait, the teacher called as she was leaving. Be careful, the Sinclairs don't like being challenged, and good luck. Emily left the school with her heart racing. She finally had a solid lead, someone who might have seen everything and maybe wasn't afraid to talk. When she got home, her father was already in the living room with several papers spread out on the coffee table. Emily, I'm glad you're here. We need to talk. Did you look into the case? She asked eagerly. Yes, and it's more complicated than I thought. Emily sat beside her father. What did you find out? Michael Reynolds has a spotless record. 15 years of service, multiple commendations, no complaints. But the Sinclair family has filed several lawsuits against the zoo. Not only do they want him permanently fired, but they're also demanding a huge settlement. But that's ridiculous, Mike. It's a common tactic. They pressure until they get what they want. The zoo, afraid of losing the case and having to pay, keeps Michael suspended. But he could sue the zoo for wrongful termination, couldn't he? Technically, he hasn't been fired, just suspended. It's a legal gray area. But Emily, there's more. What? The Sinclairs have a very powerful law firm. They've ruined people who've tried to stand up to them. So we're giving up? Emily asked, disappointed. I didn't say that. But we need to be very careful. And I need to meet this boy and talk to his guardian. Emily told him about Mrs. Dorothy, the neighbor who took care of Tyler. Her father wrote everything down. I'll try to set up a meeting. In the meantime, Emily, promise me you won't do anything reckless. Dad, I found a witness. Emily couldn't hold back. She told him everything about visiting Miss Amanda and about Mason Williams. Her father listened with growing concern. Emily, this could be dangerous. But it could help, right? If we have witnesses, witnesses can change their minds, they can be pressured. Emily, you don't understand who we're dealing with. I do understand. We're dealing with people who think they can buy anything, even justice. But it's not right, Dad? Mr. Parker sighed. You take after who... All right. But from now on, no more investigating on your own. Everything goes through me first, understood? Understood. On Wednesday, Emily could barely focus in class. When 5 o'clock finally came, she was strategically positioned at Sunshine Bakery, pretending to pick out a pastry. She saw a boy in a uniform walk in with an elegant woman. By her calculations, it had to be Mason Williams. Emily took a deep breath and approached. Excuse me, are you Mason's mother? The woman looked at her curiously. Yes, and you are... My name is Emily. I wanted to talk about something that happened during last year's zoo field trip. The woman's expression changed. What about the field trip? It's about the keeper who was wrongly blamed. I know your son saw what really happened. Mason tugged on his mother's sleeve. Mom, I told you the guy wasn't at fault. It was that lady who was stupid. Mason, his mother scolded. But then she looked at Emily. Are you related? To the keeper? No, but I know his son. He's suffering a lot without his dad. And it's unfair what they did. Mason Williams' mother, who introduced herself as Dr. Catherine, listened carefully as Emily Parker explained the whole situation. Mason eagerly confirmed the details. I saw everything, Mom. The keeper yelled at the woman not to touch, but she didn't listen. And the capuchin monkey didn't even bite hard. She's the one who made a scene. Mason's been talking about this non-stop since it happened, admitted Dr. Catherine. He's outraged by the injustice. But, sweetie, the Sinclairs are powerful people. My dad's a lawyer, Emily said quickly. He's looking into the case. We just need witnesses willing to tell the truth. Dr. Catherine grew thoughtful. My husband is a prosecutor. Maybe let me talk to him. Do you have a contact number? Emily gave her home number, her heart full of hope. When she got home, she found a surprise. Tyler was in the living room, sitting stiffly on the couch with an elderly woman beside him. Emily! Her father stood up. This is Mrs. Dorothy, and you already know Tyler. Hi, Emily said shyly. Tyler looked extremely uncomfortable in her home, eyeing everything with a mix of curiosity and caution. I was explaining the situation to Mrs. Dorothy, her father continued. Then I must say, Tyler, your story is moving. I don't want pity, Tyler said quickly. I just want my dad back. It's not pity, Mr. Parker corrected. It's admiration. You've been very brave. Mrs. Dorothy squeezed Tyler's shoulder affectionately. He's a good boy, but stubborn, just like his father. Spends more time at that zoo than at home. I don't... Tyler started to protest. No use lying, boy. I know where you go. Always have. I just pretended not to notice because I know how much that place means to you. Tyler looked at her in surprise. You knew? Of course I knew. Did you think I'd let a boy in my care wander around without knowing where he was? I have contacts at that zoo. They tell me when you arrive and when you leave. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because you need that place. It's your connection to your dad. But Tyler, you can't keep this up forever. Well, Mr. Parker interjected, that's why we're here. Emily told me about her findings, and I must say I'm impressed with her initiative. She's found potential witnesses, evidence of inconsistencies. Dad's gonna kill me when he finds out I tangled with the Sinclairs, Tyler muttered. Your dad will be proud, Emily said. You never gave up on him. Emily's right, Mr. Parker agreed. But now we need to act carefully and within the law. Tyler, I need you to tell me everything. Every detail about the day of the incident, about your dad's history at the zoo, everything. For the next hour, Tyler told his story. He talked about how his dad started at the zoo, his love for animals, his years of dedication. He mentioned the awards Michael Reynolds had won, the educational live streams he hosted, how he knew every animal by name and personality. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers out. Now, back to it. He's not just a keeper, Tyler said, his eyes shining. He's a conservationist. He worked on breeding programs for endangered species, wrote articles on animal behavior. His work saved lives. That's excellent, Mr. Parker said, taking notes. It shows he's not just an employee, but a highly qualified professional. That strengthens our case. The phone rang. Mrs. Parker answered, then called her husband. Robert, it's Dr. Catherine wanting to speak with you. Emily held her breath as her father took the call. The conversation lasted several minutes, with him jotting notes and murmuring in agreement. When he hung up, there was a new spark in his eyes. It looks like we have a prosecutor interested in the case, she announced. Dr. Catherine's husband knows the Sinclairs' reputation and is willing to review whether there's grounds for legal action. Is that good? Asked Tyler hopefully. It's very good. With the district attorney's office involved, it'll be harder for the Sinclairs to use their influence, so my dad can come back. Hold on, it's too soon to say, but it's a start. Tyler, I need to speak with your father. Do you have his contact in Chicago? Tyler gave the number. While the adults discussed legal strategies, Emily and Tyler stepped out into the backyard. Thank you, Tyler said quietly, for everything. It's not over yet, Emily replied, but we'll make it. You barely even knew me. You could have just walked away that day and forgotten about it. But then I wouldn't be me, Emily smiled. My mom says my flaw is caring too much about everything. It's not a flaw, Tyler said. It's special. They fell silent for a moment, watching the sky begin to darken. You know what's the hardest part? Tyler continued. Seeing the animals at the zoo and knowing they miss him too. Charlie, the capuchin monkey who supposedly bit Mrs. Sinclair, is depressed. He's not eating right, not interacting with the group. Really? Animals form bonds. My dad raised Charlie since he was a baby. They were like family. And now, they'll be reunited soon, Emily said firmly. You'll see. In the weeks that followed, things began to move. Dr. Alexander, Dr. Catherine's husband, and the prosecutor launched a preliminary investigation. More witnesses came forward, encouraged by the possibility of legal protection. Ms. Amanda, the teacher, now knowing she wasn't alone, agreed to give her testimony. Several parents who were on the field trip also spoke up. They all told the same story. Mrs. Sinclair had deliberately ignored safety rules. But the most surprising revelation came from an unexpected source. Emily was at the zoo with Tyler one Saturday afternoon when they were approached by a woman in uniform. "Are you Michael Reynolds' son?" she asked. Tyler nodded cautiously. "My name is Sarah. I'm part of the security team. I need to show you something." She led them to the monitoring room, glancing around nervously. "I shouldn't be doing this, but your father was always kind to me. Treated me with respect, unlike others. What they did to him isn't right." "What do you want to show us?" Emily asked. Sarah sat at a computer and began typing. "They said the footage from the day of the incident was corrupted. That's a lie. I made a backup myself that day before they ordered it deleted." Tyler's heart raced. "You have the video?" "I saved it on a flash drive. I was afraid to come forward before, but now, with the DA involved..." She inserted the device and opened a file. On the screen, they could clearly see the entire scene. Mrs. Sinclair approaching the enclosure, ignoring the warning signs. Michael Reynolds on the other side, giving the demonstration to the children. The moment she jumped the barrier and stuck her hand inside the cage, Michael running, shouting, the monkey, startled, giving a quick, shallow bite, and then Mrs. Sinclair, falling dramatically, screaming as if she'd been mauled by a lion. "My God," Emily murmured. "It's even worse than we thought." "There's more," Sarah said, fast-forwarding the video. "Watch this." The recording showed Mrs. Sinclair minutes later, when she thought no one was watching. She examined her own hand, clearly searching for a significant injury. There was barely a red mark. Then, deliberately, she bit her own finger, making a deeper wound. "She caused her own injury," Tyler said, stunned. "That's what I thought when..." "I reviewed the footage," Sarah confirmed. "That's why I kept it. I knew the truth would have to come out one day." "Can we take this video?" asked Emily. "I already made a copy." Sarah handed over another flash drive. "Use it wisely, and don't say it was me who gave it to you. I still need this. Job?" "Thank you," said Tyler, tears in his eyes. "Thank you so much. Your father is a good man," said Sarah. "He deserves justice." They left the zoo with the flash drive safely tucked in Emily's backpack. It was the definitive proof they needed. "We need to take this to my father right away," said Emily. "Emily," Tyler held her arm. "This will change everything. When this video gets out, Mrs. Sinclair will be exposed as a liar. She'll want revenge." "Are you scared?" "Not for me, but for you, your family. You didn't ask to be involved in this." "Tyler, look at me." Emily cupped his face in her hands. "We got involved because it was the right thing to do. We're not backing down now." Tyler nodded, too emotional to speak. When they arrived at Emily's house, her parents were in the living room with Dr. Alexander and another man who introduced himself as Dr. Frank, a labor lawyer. "Perfect timing," said Mr. Parker. "We were just discussing the legal strategy. Dad, we have something important." Emily pulled him aside and explained about the video. Mr. Parker's eyes widened. "Are you sure about what you saw?" "Absolutely," Emily confirmed, handing him the flash drive. Everyone gathered around the computer as Mr. Parker plugged in the device. The room was dead silent as they watched the video. When it ended, Dr. Alexander was the first to speak. "This changes everything. It's not just wrongful termination. It's fraud, false accusations, maybe even extortion considering the settlement they're demanding." "Can we use this?" Tyler asked anxiously. "We'll need to verify the chain of custody, ensure the video is authentic," said Dr. Frank. "But if it's legitimate, and it seems to be, it's damning evidence." "What happens now?" asked Mrs. Dorothy. "Now," Dr. Alexander said, standing up, "we prepare a case, not just for Mr. Michael Reynolds' reinstatement, but criminal charges against Mrs. Victoria Sinclair for false reporting and emotional damages." "They'll fight back," Mr. Parker warned. "Let them," Dr. Alexander replied. "The law is the same for everyone, no matter the size of their bank account." Tyler seemed in shock. "My dad, can he really come back?" "With this evidence, I'd say the odds are excellent," Dr. Frank affirmed. "I need to call him." Tyler frantically searched for his phone. "Use the office phone," Mr. Parker offered, guiding him. As Tyler spoke to his father, Emily watched through the slightly open door. She could see tears streaming down his face as he shared the news. On the other end of the line, she imagined Michael Reynolds feeling the same emotion. "Dad, you're coming home," she heard Tyler say. "You're going back to the zoo. Everything will be okay again." The following days were a whirlwind. Somehow news of the video leaked, causing a scandal in the city. The headlines read, "Video exposes socialite zoo scheme." As Tyler predicted, retaliation came swiftly. Emily's family began receiving anonymous calls with veiled threats. Car tires were slashed. Emily was followed by a black car on her way to school. "Maybe we should step back," Mrs. Parker said one night, worried. "No," Emily said firmly. "If we back down now, they win. That's what they want." "Emily's right," her father agreed. "We've come too far to quit. And I have good news. The judge granted the injunction. Michael Reynolds can return to work immediately while the case proceeds." Joy filled the house. Emily immediately called Tyler, who cried with happiness on the phone. "He's coming back tomorrow," he said between sobs. "My dad's coming back tomorrow." The next day, Emily convinced her parents to take her to the zoo. She wanted to be there for the reunion. They arrived early. A small crowd had already gathered at the entrance, including reporters and zoo staff who wanted to welcome Michael Reynolds. Then he appeared. Emily immediately recognized Tyler's same kind eyes, the same smile, but there were marks of suffering on his face, signs of the difficult months he'd endured. Tyler ran toward his father, and the two embraced halfway. The crowd applauded. Emily felt tears in her own eyes. "Thank you," Michael said, approaching Emily's family after the hug. "Tyler told me everything you did. I have no words to express my gratitude." "It was Emily," Tyler said proudly. "She's the one who never gave up." Michael knelt in front of Emily. "So you're the brave girl who saved my family. How can I ever repay you?" "Just take good care of the animals," Emily said shyly. "And Tyler." "Always," Michael promised. The readjustment wasn't easy. Some staff, afraid of retaliation from the Sinclairs, avoided Michael. Others welcomed him with open arms. The most emotional moment was his reunion with the animals. Emily was there when Michael entered the Capuchin monkeys enclosure for the first time. Charlie, the monkey at the center of the controversy, sat apathetically in a corner. "Charlie," Michael called, softly. "It's me, buddy." The monkey slowly lifted its head. For a moment it stayed still. Then in one leap it crossed the enclosure and clung to Michael, making sounds that resembled crying. "I missed you too," Michael murmured, stroking the animal. It was impossible not to be moved by the scene. Even the toughest handlers discreetly wiped away tears, but the legal battle was far from over. The Sinclairs hired the best lawyers, tried to discredit the video, and intimidated witnesses. With each hearing, new obstacles arose. "They're trying to wear us down," Dr. Alexander explained in a meeting. "It's a common tactic, dragging out the process until the other side gives up." "We won't give up," Tyler said firmly. "Don't even think about it," Emily added. The pressure on Emily's family grew. Her father lost some important clients, clearly influenced by the Sinclairs. Her mother was let go from the gardening club she'd attended for years. "Maybe we should move," Mrs. Parker suggested one night after finding a threat in the mailbox. "Running isn't the answer," Mr. Parker argued, "and it would mean abandoning Tyler and Michael when they need us most." "But Emily..." Mrs. Parker looked at her daughter with worry. "I'm fine, Mom, really. And I won't abandon my friends." The situation at Emily's school also became complicated. Some classmates, whose families had business ties to the Sinclairs, started excluding her. "My mom said your family is looking for trouble," one of them said during recess. "That you should mind your own business?" "And I think everyone should. Do what's right," Emily replied, keeping her head high. But the isolation hurt. Only her true friends stayed by her side, and even then, some had restrictions from their parents to avoid getting too involved. Tyler, sensing what Emily was going through, tried to convince her to step back. "You've already done enough," he told her one day at the zoo. "You don't have to keep suffering for us." "Would you try to convince me to abandon you?" Emily challenged. "Because if that's the case, forget it. Real friends don't give up on each other." But look what it's costing you. It's worth it, Emily interrupted. Every second is worth it, because it's the right thing. The case dragged on for months. With each hearing, new revelations came to light. They discovered that Mrs. Sinclair had a history of similar lawsuits against businesses, always resulting in financial settlements. She was practically a professional at creating situations to benefit herself. But the most shocking revelation came from an unexpected witness, Mrs. Sinclair's own husband. On a rainy afternoon, Mr. Sinclair showed up at Mr. Parker's office. "I need to talk about my wife," he said, visibly shaken. It turned out he was tired of Victoria's manipulations, the excessive spending on frivolous lawsuits, the bad reputation tarnishing the family business, the social embarrassment. "I have documents," he said, placing a folder on the table. "Proof of other scams she's pulled. It's time to stop." "Are you willing to testify against your own wife?" asked Mr. Parker, surprised. "I'm filing for divorce. I can't live with someone who'd ruin a hard-working man's life on a whim. Michael Reynolds didn't deserve this. No one does." With Mr. Sinclair's testimony and documents, the case took a dramatic turn. Mrs. Sinclair, cornered, made one last desperate move. She offered a hefty financial settlement to end the case. "They're offering $500,000, Dr. Frank announced in a meeting, to drop the criminal charges and never speak of it again." Michael looked at his son, then at Emily and her family. "It's not about the money," he finally said. "It's about justice. It's about clearing my name. It's about showing the truth matters." "I agree," said Tyler, proud of his father. "Then we'll see it through," Mr. Parker decided. The final trial was scheduled. The whole city seemed to be following the case. That day, the courtroom was packed. Emily sat in the front row with her family, holding Tyler's trembling hand. Michael stood beside his lawyers, wearing the best suit he owned. Mrs. Sinclair entered with her attorneys, still trying to maintain her haughty demeanor but visibly shaken. The prosecutor methodically presented all the evidence. The video was played, causing murmurs in the audience. Witnesses were called. Ms. Amanda, overcoming her fear, gave an emotional testimony about Michael's professionalism and Mrs. Sinclair's recklessness. Mason Williams, now 11, was the most impactful witness. With the clarity only children possess, he described exactly what he saw, no sugarcoating. "You were dumb," he said directly to Mrs. Sinclair. "The guy warned you. There was a sign. Everyone knew you couldn't touch it. You just wanted to show off and messed up." Normally, such language would be reprimanded in court, but the boy's raw honesty moved everyone present. When it was Mrs. Sinclair's defense's turn, lawyers tried everything. They questioned the video's authenticity, the witness's credibility, even suggested it was all a conspiracy. But when Mr. Sinclair himself was called as a witness and confirmed his wife's pattern of fraudulent behavior, the case was sealed. The judge took a week to deliver the verdict. When the day came, the courtroom was even more crowded. "This court finds Mrs. Victoria Sinclair guilty of false reporting, fraud, and emotional damages," declared the judge. "In addition to criminal sentencing, she is ordered to pay Mr. Michael Reynolds $1 million in compensation for the harm done to his reputation and career." The celebration was restrained in court, but outside, Michael hugged his son, crying with relief and joy. "It's over," he whispered. "Finally over." "No," Tyler corrected. "Now it starts again. The right way." Emily and her family approached to congratulate them. Michael hugged each one tightly. "You're our family now," he said, emotional. "Forever." In the following months, life gradually returned to normal. Michael Reynolds was promoted to General Coordinator of Primates, with a significant salary increase. The compensation, when received, was partly used to create an educational program at the zoo about safety and respect for animals. "I want what happened to serve as a lesson," Michael explained. "So no one else has to go through what I did." Mrs. Victoria Sinclair served community service and had to issue a public apology. The embarrassment was so great that she ended up moving away from the city. Tyler started smiling again like before. He continued visiting the zoo, but now officially as his father's junior assistant. His studies improved. His grades went up. The shadow that had loomed over him had lifted. Emily Parker maintained her friendship with Tyler. They visited each other regularly, shared experiences, and studied together. The bond forged in adversity proved unbreakable. "You know," Tyler said one day as they watched the capuchin monkeys play, "if you hadn't gotten trapped in that cage, we never would have met," Emily finished. "And my dad would still be far away. It's funny how bad things sometimes lead to good ones. Do you think it was a bad thing?" Tyler looked at her. Getting trapped, Emily thought. For a moment. It was scary at the time, but it was worth it. I met you, helped right an injustice, learned about courage. "You've always had courage," Tyler said. "You just discovered it that day." They fell into a comfortable silence, watching Charlie happily interact with his group. The monkey seemed like a different creature since Michael's return, active and playful as before. "Emily," Tyler broke the silence, "I want to tell you something." "What?" "Remember when I said you reminded me of someone?" "The day we met, I remember. I never knew my mother, but my dad always said she was brave, that she fought for what she believed in. When I saw you in that cage, not panicking, trusting me, I thought maybe my mother was like that." Emily felt her eyes well up. "Tyler, I'm not saying this to make you sad," he hurried to add. "It's just, you made me believe there are good people in the world. People who help without expecting anything in return. There are many people like that," Emily said. "Your dad, Mrs. Dorothy, my parents, everyone who helped, but you started it all. If it weren't for your stubbornness—" "Determination," Emily corrected with a smile. "Right," Tyler laughed. "Your determination," a zoo employee approached. "Tyler, your dad's calling. Time to help with the marmosets feeding." "I'm coming," he replied, but before leaving he turned to Emily. "Thank you for everything, forever." Emily waved as he ran off. She stayed a little longer, watching the animals, thinking about the journey they'd been through. Her phone vibrated. It was a message from her mother asking if she wanted a ride. Emily replied yes and began walking toward the exit. She passed the elephant enclosure where Mr. Walter waved cheerfully. The big cat house where a new family of jaguars had arrived. The aviary where colorful birds sang. The zoo was alive, vibrant, full of stories. And now Emily was part of one of them. When she reached the exit gate, she looked back one last time. She could see Tyler in the distance, helping his father with the animals, both laughing at something one of the monkeys had done. This was how it should be. Father and son together, doing what they loved without fear or injustice keeping them apart. Emily smiled and walked through the gate. Her mother was waiting in the car, along with her father, who had left work early. "How was your day?" Mrs. Parker asked. "Perfect," Emily replied. "Absolutely perfect." As the car drove away, Emily looked out the rear window. The zoo was left behind, but the memories and friendships built there would stay with her forever. Months later, on a sunny Saturday morning, Emily woke up to the phone ringing. It was Tyler, thrilled. "Emily, you won't believe it. Charlie, honey, they had a baby." "Really?" Emily jumped out of bed. "That's amazing." "My dad said I can help take care of him, and he said you can come see him whenever you want. You can even help pick the name." "I'm coming right now." "Hold on." Tyler laughed. "The baby was just born. He needs to stay with his mom for a few days, but Emily, he's so tiny, so perfect." The excitement in his voice was contagious. "How's your dad doing?" "Happy. Happier than I've seen him in a long time. He said births always bring hope, that it's a new beginning, and it truly was a new beginning, for all of them." Days later, when Emily finally got to see the baby, she understood what Michael meant. The tiny creature clinging to its mother represented new life, endless possibilities. "What should we name him?" Tyler asked. Emily watched the little one, its eyes still closed, its delicate hands gripping its mother's fur. "Hope," she said. "Let's call him Hope." Michael smiled in approval. "Hope," he repeated. "It's perfect." And so in the same place where it all began, behind the bars that once trapped Emily, not just a new capuchin monkey was born, but a symbol of everything they had overcome together. The zoo remained a meeting place for Emily and Tyler. On weekends, she helped with the educational programs Michael had created. Tyler became the most dedicated junior assistant the zoo had ever had. Their friendship grew and strengthened over time. They studied together for tests, shared dreams and fears, and supported each other. Years later, when they were both in high school, Emily wrote an essay about the experience for a national contest. The title was simple: "The Day I Got Trapped. Hand Found Freedom." She won first place. At the award ceremony, Emily dedicated the prize to everyone who fights against injustice, but especially to a brave boy who risked everything to help a stranger, and to a principled man who never stopped loving his work, even when the work seemed to forget him. Tyler and Michael were in the audience, applauding with tears in their eyes. After the ceremony, the three of them celebrated in the only place that made sense: the zoo. They sat near the Capuchin monkey enclosure, watching Hope, now a healthy and playful young monkey, interact with the group. "You know what I learned from all this?" Michael said, hugging his son. "What, Dad?" "That sometimes we need to be trapped to understand the value of freedom. And that true friends are the ones who help us find the way out, even if it means getting trapped with us." Emily and Tyler exchanged glances, smiling. They understood perfectly. The sun set over the zoo, painting the sky orange and pink. The animals prepared for their nightly rest. It was time to go home. But they knew they'd be back. They'd always come back, because some places become more than just locations. They become part of who we are. And the Oakland City Zoo, with its cages that once trapped and freed, with its animals that taught loyalty and love, with its paths that witnessed the birth of an unlikely friendship, would forever be the place where 3 lives changed for the better, where justice prevailed, where love conquered fear, where a trapped girl found a friend, and where a lonely boy found hope. The end of the story. Dear listener, we've reached the end of this touching journey. Tell us what you thought of Emily and Tyler's story. Would you have the same courage to stand up against injustice? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other inspiring stories. Thank you so much for your company.